China's two sessions, the 2020 annual meeting of NPC and CPPCC are just around the corner. To take a deeper look into some of the trending topics in science and technology in China, we are launching a special series called Decoding the Future. In today's show, we will focus on the idea of creating an artificial sun. But first, let's take a look what an artificial sun means. With energy, people live, plants grow, machines move, and the world survives. Sounds familiar? Yes, that is the sun, the ultimate energy source, the holy grail of all problems. But can we bring it closer and carry the sun here on Earth? The sun is basically a pressure cooker. It cooks one basic element of our universe, the hydrogen. With enough heat and density, hydrogen atoms merge. This is fusion, and it can create an enormous amount of energy. Actually, it produces nearly 4 million times more energy than burning coal or gas. But the cooker is special. It is very hot and very packed. And it is almost impossible to create such a cooker on the Earth. No Earth materials can withstand the high temperature and pressure that sustain fusion in the sun. This is Hefei National Science Center. It is freezing cold outside, but it is cosmically hot inside. The most promising prototype is called tokamak. This is EAST, a tokamak built in China's eastern city of Hefei in 2006. The key is to create a system that is extremely hot, but also stably contained and monitored.
Tokamak is a kind of a machine. This machine can generate very strong magnetic field. When the material hit a very high temperature, it can become plasmas. The electron and move away from the atom and become free motion charged particles. The strong magnetic field can confine these particles. In that case, we can have a high density, high temperature fusion plasmas in the machine.
In 2018, the East achieved a temperature of over 100 million degrees Celsius. That is more than 6 times as hot as the core of the sun. And it sustained the temperature for 10 seconds before shutting down. It is not a sun on the Earth, yet it realizes wild and intense nuclear fusion. But it needs a harness to contain the energy. The Chinese came up with a key technology: magnetic field with superconducting. It lasts long and uses minimum amount of electricity. The tokamak is a success and a stepping stone toward a real fusion reactor. And it's sustained. The team here aims to make China's own nuclear fusion reactor. The ambition is to solve engineering problems to produce more energy for a longer time. But there is a big problem. It is not worth it. So far, all machines have used more power to make fusion than those produced by fusion. To make fusion a viable energy source, the devices need to become much more efficient. ITER promises to get us there. ITER is the world's largest tokamak underway, supported by 35 countries, including the European Union, US, Russia, China, Japan, Korea, and India. The construction of the device is expected to be completed around 2024 period, and it targets to go nuclear in 2035.
实现这个核聚变最主要的2大困难，一个就是这个聚变物质等离子体高温的等离体要在非常长时间尺度维持它。这个中国呢，在这个 长时间这个超导托克马克稳态，就是非常长时间使用的维持这个聚变等离体方面，在目前国际上是最先进的，而且是我们一直保持着这方面的世界纪录。
Fusion is revolutionary, but it takes money, commitment, and most important of all, vision. Even the most optimistic predict it will take decades before the technology comes to fruition. The Chinese took the challenge and want to join the world's best minds for the endeavor. The appeal is obvious. It will serve 1.4 billion Chinese with clean and efficient energy for millennia and give the world a real holy grail. Fusion is a bold idea. It will elevate human energy use into new dimensions. But like all next-generation technologies, the process is very humbling. We ran into problems, we got frustrated, and we moved on. Like making nuclear bombs or landing a man on the moon, we choose to do it because it is hard, extremely hard. And everything good is hard to get. And the scientists from China and the rest of the world are working together because they believe fusion energy will be energy of the future. And that future is coming. And joining me today are Song Yuntao, Vice President of the Hefei Institute of Physical Science at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and also the Director of the Institute of Plasma Physics there. Southern University of Science and Technology Professor Liu Ke, who is also the Dean of the School of Innovation and Entrepreneurship and the China Clean Energy Institute. I'll be also joined by theoretical physicist Alain Boucoulet, Head of Engineering at ITER in southern France. Mr. Song, very nice to have you here. I understand that China has an experimental advanced superconducting tokamak project. That is EAST for short. It has been running since 2006. Can you tell us what progress has been made?
This is in the world the first non-circle, first superconducting tokamak. Since the first engineer commissioning in 2006, then now we plasma operating for 14 years. So now we running the 15th round of experiment. So in recent year we got many good progress. For example, so 2017 we get 100 second H mode. This is high performance plasma. And the last year we get 100 million degree plasma, 20 seconds. There also another new record in the world for the plasma.
Can you explain to me why 100 million degree plasma for 20 seconds are so important?
So for the for the main kind, if we use the fusion energy, so the temperature of plasma, the density of plasma is very important. So we call the 3 key issue the plasma, plasma temperature, plasma density, and confinement time. So this is a 3 critical integration in the fusion reaction.
Does that mean we only had 20 seconds of very mini nuclear fusion happening at tokamak?
Yes, so this is a big progress. So in coming years, we want to move to 100, 200, and 1,000. The in coming 5 years, our target this is 1,000 seconds.
And how far do you think are we still from the real application of nuclear fusion? Between 1,000 seconds of 100 million degrees of plasma to real nuclear fusion generating electricity?
For the fusion energy, so also we have a bigger challenge. So only step by step. So now in China, we have our national roadmap for fusion energy. So first, we should running and good research for our domestic tokamak. Then also we joined the ITER. Now we do our self tokamak reactor. That is the China Fusion Engineering Testing Reactor. So we only step by step to for fusion energy for mankind.
People say it is still far from real use of nuclear fusion power. But why China invested so much in the research, and what will be China's role in the future roadmap of nuclear fusion applications?
So in China also we use more energy. So for roadmap in China, so we focus on the research on our domestic tokamak. That is the East tokamak, East superconducting tokamak. Now we do steady-state operation for a non-pass operation in our tokamak. So in coming years, also we finished our China Fusion Engineering Testing Reactor design. Then we propose central government. We propose to construction this machine. I think that if this machine construction, that is should the first fusion plant reactor in the world. So from the scientists and from the technology, we are ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Song. Thank you. So, Mr. Liu, we have to let people understand why this work is so important.
It's important because it's really people see the light at the end of the tunnel that can potentially, I can only say at this point, potentially solve the energy problem of human beings. But even at this stage, right, it's still in the stage of the lab research. And I remember, like, when I was 50 years ago, when I was a kid, people read the hydrogen fusion will be practiced in 50 years. And now people feel in another 50 years. That's the real situation.
So
exactly, that's the situation.
If this is the case, this is a technology we may only be able to use in 50 years. Why do we have to try it now? And what is so desirable about nuclear fusion that we have to try?
Number one, human being now faces the environmental problem caused by the fossil fuels. Right, you see in China, you see all the smogs, and in the world, you see the climate change, global warming. Because up till this moment, the majority of the energy the world uses still come from either oil, coal, or natural gas. So when you combust them to get energy, you have emissions. So that's number one problem. Number two, people want to solve the problem of use renewable energies like wind or solar or hydro. But for like a solar, you only have sun in the daytime, typically like 9 to 5 p.m. In the wind, wind never blow all the time. So the storage of the electricity is not that easy. So both solar and wind cannot supply the base energy, the stable energy, and the grid will not be stable if you have 15% of the electricity come from unstable sources. So you do need a stable energy source for power generation. At this moment in China, like 57% of the energy is from coal. I mean electricity. But coal has its problem, we all know.
Thank you for your perspective. Professor. And now we are joined by Ellen Boucoulet, head of the engineering at ITER in southern France. So Ellen, the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, or ITER as we know it, is probably the most prominent international nuclear fusion research and engineering project we know. But could you please tell us, what is the mission of ITER in the first place?
So ITER is the result of a large number of research and development that was made by the fusion community in the past 50 years, essentially. And ITER is sort of concentrating all the know-how that has been developed by the international fusion community, both in terms of plasma science, nuclear research, nuclear reactions, but also in terms of technologies. So ITER is a sort of synthetic result of all these researches and has a goal. The goal is to demonstrate this, that nuclear research, nuclear reactions, fusion nuclear reactions, sorry, can be mastered, can be made in such a way and in real size that the plasma that is created in this machine will generate 10 times more energy or power than it is injected for heating purposes. So it will amplify by a factor of 10 the energy that he has been getting. All this on durations, on time durations that are relevant to the basic establishment of all the constants, the time constants that are relevant for the process, and namely on times of a quarter of an hour to an hour.
It is reported that ITER has been delayed for many reasons, and people are wondering, well, nuclear fusion is always being something around the corner, but never realized. How far are we before we get to the goal of having nuclear fusion power?
Yeah, that's right. So it was even a joke. I think that we are now having much more and more precise ideas. It's true that in the past 50 years we used to say, okay, fusion energy is for the next 50 years, which basically meant that it's too big to plan yet. I mean, it's too big and too unknown to plan yet. With ITER, we have made a very, very good step beyond in this direction, and now we know exactly when and how this demonstration of feasibility will be produced and will be made for humankind. Essentially, ITER is under construction now. The first plasma ITER will start operating by the end of 2025, typically. So in 5 years' time, it's very close now. And this for the next 10 years, so up to 2035 or something, when it is supposed to reach this operational point, that is the demonstration of the feasibility of fusion reaction and fusion energy production. ITER has no goal in transforming this energy that is produced into electricity and so on. This will be for the next machines. But very precisely by 2035 or something, we will know whether we can master fusion reactions and fusion energy production through this kind of channels and reactors. So
and do you believe it will be a success by the year 2035?
Of course, if I didn't believe in this, I wouldn't participate to it. I strongly believe in that for at least 2 reasons. On the scientific side, it's clearly it has been clearly demonstrated with the existing devices and the research progress that has been made in the past 50 years that, okay, this is difficult, this is a very complex medium, this is something that the conditions for fusion reaction are hard to achieve, but they behave like we expect they should behave. So there is no big surprise, and I think that the operational point that was projected for ITER is reasonable. The technology side now, ITER is a large part of ITER game or goal is to also demonstrate that we can master the technologies for that. And as you understand, I mean, we are manipulating medias that are of hundreds of millions of degrees, so it's extremely precise, it's extremely challenging, and ITER, as I said, in 50 years time, we should be capable now of demonstrating that we master the technologies that go with.
And I understand that ITER is funded and run by the European Union, and also it involved India, Japan, China, Russia, South Korea, and the U.S. What are the role plays of these different parties, and how do they cooperate on such a big project?
Yeah. So yes, the challenge, there is a second big challenge, or another big challenge in ITER, is to have such a very large international cooperation consortium, let's say, that is materialized into what we call the ITER organization. So ITER organization is a central team that is located in Cadarache, that is an international team, and supported by 7 members. These members are both funding the overall system and providing the facility, the elements, the technology, and so on in kind. So there has been a sharing of the construction, from the buildings to the machine to the services and so on, that has been allotted to the different parties. And these parties at the moment are constructing, building, procuring these elements that all come, gather together in Cadarache, and the ITER team is assembling all this.
Are they working well with each other?
Is roughly so far so good. I mean, it's really, I mean, this endeavor has started formally in 2007, so it's only 13 years. And today, I can tell you that each and every day, we all are working together, including in this very peculiar moment when everybody is working remotely, mostly from home. The things are working.
So COVID-19
well.
didn't stop your work?
COVID-19 didn't stop. Of course, it has slightly slowed down 2 things: the assembly on site. So we have managed to keep the vital activities in order to keep on progressing, and it is also slowing down some of the production, of the industrial production in the various locations around the world. But the coordination, the engineering, all this is still going on extremely well, and indeed we are working very hard each and every day.
And when we look at
this international spirit exists.
When we look at the internet, there are a lot of social media users being asking questions on on the nuclear fusion issue and why ITER has been taking the lead. Let's take a look at what some of them have been saying. Well, Eva Malunova said that the question is, what is the environmental effect if there is a failure or terrorist attack? How dangerous it is if there is an explosion? I guess this is explosion. And people maybe don't understand quite well how a nuclear fusion reactor works and what it might imply if there is an accident or attack.
Oh, it's a little bit difficult to explain like this without any drawing, but basically one of the major advantages of fusion is that the amount of material that you are manipulating in order to do the reaction, to fuse deuterium and tritium, which are both isotopes of hydrogen, this amount of material is always extremely small. In the volume of the ITER machine, of the plasma of the ITER machine, which is something like 1,000 cubic meters, there will be something like 1 gram of reactants. Okay, so whatever happens, the reaction never explodes, never diverges. Okay, the reaction, whatever happens, the reaction, the worst that can happen is that the reaction stops. Okay, so in case
there is no
major
chance that
attack,
Chernobyl disaster would happen on a nuclear fusion reactor.
No, absolutely not. So even in the worst situation, and even if something we cannot imagine at the moment, whatever destruction of the facility that would come from outside or even from inside, the amount of nuclear material that would be released in the atmosphere, even if we have all the barriers, 1, 2, 3 barriers that are the usual things we are doing in nuclear industry, even if the worst of the worst cases, some grams of material would be released in the atmosphere. Okay, so it's nothing to do with fission reactors, which store in the reactor itself tons of material that are consumed as time goes on. Okay, so it's intrinsically safe in that sense and intrinsically clean. Of course, this is nuclear material.
So by nature, nuclear fusion is much safer than nuclear fission.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, let's continue to scroll through our social media handles on what some of the users have been saying. Fusion is the future. The name of this social media user said that successful fusion would compete with the historical significance of the Industrial Revolution and the digital revolution. It would allow us not only essentially have unlimited energy, but open up space to use it in a way that chemical rockets simply cannot. So this user simply is saying this will be a game changer for humanity in terms of technology. Where would you put fusion technology in the history of human engineering and development?
Yes, clearly this is a holy grail for the research in energy. I mean, we have been progressing from let's say the fire or the water mill up to oil, nuclear fission, and so on. So the nuclear fusion is a step beyond this, with, as I said, the advantage of being as powerful, even more powerful per unit volume than fission, and clean and safe. Now, the question, so in terms of science, technology, engineering, this is very clearly a major step, the same kind of step as walking on the moon or going to Mars, okay, for mankind. Now we have to understand what is the usage of it, okay? At the same time, our humanity is diversifying, excuse me, its usage of energy and so on. Clearly, mastering fusion energy means providing new, safe, and powerful sources of electricity. Okay, so we all know that electricity has a big future because it will or can be used in many places, many applications, and so on.
Yeah.
But it's still a centralized source of energy. So either you transport it with cables and so on, and you face some environmental problems, or you diversify in creating hydrogen with it, or so the usage. We shouldn't confuse the production of energy and its usage.
Thank you very much. On that note, we have to wrap up the interview. Thank you very much, Alan, for your insights.
You're welcome.
And analysis.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
And that will do it for this edition of Decoding the Future, our special program for the annual two sessions of the political season. I'm still in Beijing. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.